So today we're going to practice doing a 1-point perspective drawing. We're going to practice on a brand new page in our sketchbook. So even if you've done this before, get a brand new page going on in your sketchbook. I have just a blank piece of paper, which is okay too. But if you have a sketchbook, definitely turn to the back or to a brand new blank page, even if you've been doing this. And because it's kind of hard to remember, I write at the top just a little note, 1-point perspective. And I usually date a lot of my sketchbook drawings. So I will also put today's date. Or whatever the date is. So when you're starting with a 1-point perspective drawing, I often like to do my drawings as if they were outside. So somewhere in the middle of my paper, I'm going to create a horizon line. And I don't actually want it to be perfect because the horizon line represents the division between the earth and the sky. So if it's a little bumpy, it might be a farm field, it might be a lake on a choppy day. Usually don't want it perfectly straight unless it's a really smooth ocean day. And in the middle of my horizon line, I'm going to put my vanishing point. It's always great to practice this. I'm going to label it vanishing point just until I get my vocab down. And I'm going to do some drawing, and I'm going to ask that you follow along and draw in the same places that I am, just when you're starting out, because it'll help you out. So in the lower right-hand corner, we're going to go back to our square. I'm going to draw a medium square in the lower right corner. Doesn't have to be perfect at all. And you notice that I'm using a pencil to do this, so I can erase if I need to. I'm also going to think about the corners of the square that I'm going to connect to the vanishing point before I even do it. So we looked at the upper right corner and we said, hey, we could probably connect that corner to the vanishing point. So if you need to, as a little trick, you can put a dot there. Upper left-hand corner, yeah, I can connect that, put a dot. Lower left, I think I can, so I'm going to try and put a dot there. And somebody yesterday told me, well, this corner, based on where the square is and where the vanishing point is, if we tried to connect it to the vanishing point, it crashed into the other side of the square. Worst case scenario, you draw a line there, it looks funny, you could always erase it and try again. We love mistakes in art. We embrace them. Now I'm going to use my ruler. I use a clear ruler so I can see through. I'm going to connect the dots. I'm going to line up one corner of my square to the vanishing point. I'm going to do this a little darker than I need to so you can see, but I want you to try and do this as light as you can. Push against the ruler. This is a good ruler skill. So your ruler doesn't wiggle. You want a nice straight line. Fabulous. From the vanishing point to one corner. Let's do it again. Fabulous. And let's check out this bottom left corner. Oh yeah, it works. Let's do it third time. Bunch of things we notice. Number one, all of the corners are being attached to the same vanishing point. Some of you told me before, it kind of looks like a train is coming at you. Now don't try this at home, but when you create lines that are going back into space so far they look like they vanish, you're creating receding lines. Recede is another word for go back. Sometimes we talk about receding hairlines. Never tell somebody they have a receding hairline if their hairline is going back and back and back. Sometimes the hairline recedes so much that there's no hair left on their head. Uh-oh. But in 1-point perspective, we do call these lines that attach from the vanishing point to the corners and edges of your shapes receding lines, just like in real life. Don't try this at home. Now, here's the tricky part. Even though it looks really cool to have train tracks going on forever and ever and a train going on forever and ever, sometimes I don't want that. Sometimes I want my square to turn into a cube. But as soon as you get these receding lines, I'll even kind of label them. Receding line. As soon as you get them in your artwork, your brain notices that these lines kind of pinch together at an angle. And now all of a sudden your brain wants to pinch every single line together or make every single line you draw at an angle. And we don't want just angled lines. We want some straight lines. And these receding lines are telling us, hey, check out the side of the cube. Pay attention to the side of what is becoming a cube. And they're saying, hey, look, we're pointing. We're pointing this time to the top of the cube. I'm just going to highlight that so you can see it. And we're pointing also, to the left-hand side of the cube. So you see how these receding lines are pointing? I outlined it in purple so you could tell what I'm talking about, but you don't have to do that. Those are the two sides of my square that I'm going to recreate. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line it up with the top of my square. And I'm going to pretend I'm riding an elevator. And I want to go up just one floor. And I don't want my elevator to rock. That's never good. It's really scary when your elevator rocks around. We don't like that at all. We want the elevator to go straight up and down. But here's the problem. Your brain wants the ruler to go crooked. So I'm going to show you. Frida Kahlo wants to ride the elevator. She wants the elevator to go up nice and seamlessly. Ding! One floor, please. Thank you. But your brain sees those receding lines that are on an angle, and all of a sudden your brain's going to want to tip Frida Kahlo off the elevator. Tip Frida Kahlo off the elevator. It's not that your brain doesn't love Frida Kahlo. It's just that the receding lines are throwing you off. So as you ride up and down the elevator, you want the bottom of the elevator to stay perfectly level, perfectly horizontal. So let's try that. Line up my ruler with the top of the square. Ride our elevator up one floor. Bing! And you get to decide where the floor ends. Don't let your brain do this. Whoa! Or this. Whoa! Not good. Keep your ruler perfectly horizontal, and wherever you decide to stop, you're going to redraw a horizontal line. And notice I'm stopping right there at the edge of the receding line, the center one. Can you see that? I didn't keep going. And I have two parallel lines, two horizontal lines. I've redrawn the top of my box. Now your brain is gonna really get nervous now. Have you ever been on a moving sidewalk in an airport? It's really cool. It looks like you are not walking, but you're moving. I should do this. Oh, moving sidewalk. Here's the problem. When you're on a moving sidewalk, you want to stand straight up. If you start to tip back and your luggage is too heavy, boom, down you go. If you start to fall forward, boom, down you go. So no matter how heavy your luggage is, you want to stay perfectly vertical when you're on that moving sidewalk. Perfectly vertical, perfectly vertical, perfectly vertical. Same thing with your ruler. Up and down is vertical. Your brain wants it to go like this, ha, or like this, ah. But you have to make sure you're moving your ruler so it stays perfectly vertical. Don't let your brain throw you off. Here we go. So my receding lines, the middle one and the bottom one, they're pointing to this side of my square. Line up my ruler at that side. Oh my goodness, it's vertical. It's up and down. I'm going to start moving on my moving sidewalk that way. But don't let your brain make the ruler crooked. You're going to move the top and the bottom at the same time. So see how the whole ruler is moving at the same time? Slowly, slowly, slowly. And then you stop when you get to the edge of the other line. Your brain wants it to go like this. Don't let it. If it does, erase your line and redraw it. Top and bottom moving at the same speed. My ruler staying vertical. Frida Kahlo's getting to her destination. Stop. And very lightly, as light as you can, way lighter than me, I want you to redraw that vertical line. Push against your ruler. Boop, make it nice and straight. And you have the other edge of your square. Hey, I don't think this is a square anymore. Squares are flat, but I can see the top and the side of my square. This is now a cube. You can also erase those extra receding lines. They were really great here. They made the top and the sides of my square turn into a cube, but we don't need the extra ones. In fact, I might want to draw another shape there, so I'm going to erase them. If you are working in a sketchbook, you might want to flip your sketchbook up and hold it in front of you so you can see how 3D your square now looks, your cube now looks. Let's try it again on the other side. I think I'll put it down a little lower. Draw a square. Upper right corner, yeah, that attaches to the vanishing point. Put a dot on it. Upper left, yeah, that would go. Lower left, I think I would hit the square. But lower right, I might be okay. Notice how the corners of our square change depending on where in space or where on our paper we place it. That's cool. Again, use your ruler as lightly as you can. Push against the ruler. Connect the dot. Connect the dot. Connect the dot. And don't forget, this is 1 point perspective, which means we only get one vanishing point. How cool is that? All of our corners and edges of our shapes, they're going to attach to that same vanishing point. Cool. Don't go adding another one. I don't care if you draw 2 shapes. I don't care if you draw 222 shapes. They're all going to connect to the same vanishing point. So here we go. Our receding lines, they're telling us, hey, Frida, pay attention to the top of the cube. Oh, we know it's going to be a cube. Hey, Frida, pay attention to the right side of the cube. We're going to redraw those sides. So here we go. Line up your ruler with the top. Ride the elevator. Don't let it rock. Left and right sides go up together. Stop. And redraw your line. The top of your square that's now going to become a cube between those 2 receding lines.
Mrs. Fish.